What's up? Today we are going to make yeast-raised donuts. Golly! I do it with my hands. I have no idea how to make jelly, but we'll find out. We'll do it together. Always making a mess. All right, so for these yeast-raised donuts, it's very simple. We're gonna use all-purpose flour. We're gonna use shortening. You can use butter. Butter has a very low burning point, which is about 350 degrees. Shortening is up in the 400 range. Room temperature water, sugar, nutmeg, active dry yeast, 1 large egg, salt, baking powder, and then we have non-fat dry milk. This saves you from having to put in half a gallon of milk. So we're basically just going to mix all of our dry ingredients. And this is the fun part. We're gonna just lay it out on the table. I have a table here that can replicate a very small kitchen. Don't be intimidated if you have minimal room, all right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna create a little crater in the middle, and then we're gonna add our water. Slowly, you don't wanna add all of it, a little bit. You don't want this breaching this wall and getting all over your floor. You're gonna be mad and then you're gonna blame me for it. And we're just gonna slowly start mixing some of this flour in until it kind of turns into a paste. So once we have this thick kind of foamy paste right here, we're gonna add our yeast. We're gonna wake up all those organisms in there and tell them to get to work. Just use your fingers slowly. As you see, there's like this paste. Basically your yeast, we're waking it up and we're feeding it. Slowly we're adding our water in. We don't wanna lose control of the batch. Biggest thing is you don't want it to breach. So you want to keep this nice big wall around here of flour and just ever so slightly incorporate it into the mix. All right, so all our water's incorporated and now we just want to start mixing everything in, getting the gluten really developed. Sometimes you could just develop gluten by letting it rest, but you got to hydrate the flour first. All right, so we're just going to move the rest of the flour in towards the middle, clean up all that wet stuff. You can always do this in a big bowl, it'll be fine as well. And we start getting this shaggy kind of dough. This is good. So if you have a bench scraper or any kind of spatula, you could get it and just start moving everything in. So as we see the dough is really dry, very shaggy, we're gonna go ahead and add our egg. Now we're just gonna really start kneading the dough. If it feels like it's too dry, don't really add water. You're gonna regret that. You don't want a soupy dough. Also add our shortening now. Just mash it right in there. So you can always use like a bowl or something when you do this. Again, I like using a nice big flat bench. As you can see, the dough ball is just starting to get sticky and everything's starting to come together. So here we're just gonna knead the dough till we feel it all come together. All right, so now you're gonna pretty much do this for the next 8 to 10 minutes and then we're gonna let it proof. So just keep going. You're never gonna overwork the dough. All right, so here I am. I've been kneading this dough for the past 8 to 10 minutes. It's starting to come together. You see it's starting to look like Play-Doh. Make it nice and tight. You could put it in a bowl, cover it with either like a bar towel. I like to do it just directly on the bench. Put a little flour down below, make sure it doesn't stick. Or we could use one of these, put it right in there, cover it. You don't want to go too tight or airtight, and that's it. And just let it sit for the next 30 to 45 minutes. Let it almost double in size, and then we'll come back, punch it down, roll it out, and start making some donuts. All right, so we're gonna make 3 different types of toppings. The toppings are the easiest part, and you can really just get as creative as you want. We're going to make an espresso glaze, a classic glaze, and we're gonna make a crunchy peanut butter glaze. This is really good if you put like a raspberry jelly inside the donut and then glaze it with this. But again, you can use fresh fruits, strawberry, raspberry, blackberry, and just mash them up and use powdered sugar, and you can't go wrong. So here we have some hot water. I did about 1/8 of a cup. We have a tablespoon of instant dry coffee. We're just gonna put that right in there. We're gonna let the water just kind of break it all up. And then we just have some room temperature water here. 1/8 of a cup, 150 grams of powdered sugar. You can also use 1.25 cups. I've already done the conversion of weight versus measurements. We're just gonna put all that in there. You're gonna see it just breaks it all down. Just mix it up. Sometimes if it's too thick like this, you just add a couple drops of water. All right, so as you see, we've mixed it. It's got this nice consistency, a nice like kind of ribbon texture to it. So this is gonna be our classic glaze. We're gonna wait for the donuts to come out of the fryer, and we're just gonna put that on when it's hot. Now that we only have classic glaze on this, which is just sugar and water, we're gonna go ahead and mix our coffee one. We're gonna add that over here. Same thing, just mix it up. Make a little bit of a mess, but whatever. You're baking donuts at your house, it's gonna happen. It's a little too thick. We're gonna put just a couple drops of water. If you end up getting it too watery because you kind of just overspilt it, it's okay. Just add a little more powdered sugar to even it out. This just needs a little more mixing, but that's the right consistency. You want ribbons, you don't want it drippy, and you don't want it caked. We want that right there. It's nice, smooth, consistent glaze. Imagine that, just eating a donut with coffee on it. You don't even have to drink the coffee. All right, and now we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna make a basic glaze. All we're gonna do is slowly add our crunchy peanut butter to it. So there we go. That is our thick peanut butter glaze. It's sweet and tasty by itself, but it's amazing when you put some raspberry jelly, strawberry jelly, grape jelly inside the donut. All right, so our dough has rested for about 40 minutes. You could smell it, has a nice fermentation to it. It's nice and soft, very pliable. You can smell the nutmeg in there. I got some dusting flour here. We're just gonna lightly put this all over the table. We're gonna pull our dough ball out. I don't like punching it down. A lot of people say get all the air out, punch it down. I don't wanna disturb this. All that tenderness, all that softness, I don't wanna get rid of it. What I do wanna do is get rid of some of the air and flatten it out. And we're gonna do that with a rolling pin. Minimal pressure, we're gonna go forward and off. Minimal pressure in the middle, backwards, and just pull off. You don't wanna go back and forth. Your dough is gonna get beat up. It's gonna get angry. You don't wanna do it. We want probably something around 12 inches, quarter to half an inch thick. And this is how you get those big gourmet donuts. You can go thinner. They're gonna be, just kind of like commercial style donuts, but we wanna go for the gourmet artisanal style. And as you see, this is very uniform. There's no lumps in it. It's very smooth. I can move this around on the table. It's not stuck anywhere. Now, if your dough is too tense and you do try and cut it, once you cut the donuts, they're gonna turn into football shapes. And you don't want that. You want like a perfect, round, relaxed donut. So we'll probably just let this sit for about 30 seconds to a minute while I get the cutter, and then we're gonna start cutting donuts. Now, if you don't have any of this and you don't wanna go out and get it, you can use a pint glass or any glass in your house. Just be sure to get it nice and floured before you cut. So we'll do one with this. We'll just go to the edge and we're just gonna push pressure till we feel the bottom, right? It went through, and then we'll just give a slight twist. You don't wanna twist all the way down like a cookie cutter, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna strain the dough. So we're gonna make 3 filled, and then these 4 are gonna have holes in them. You're gonna find the center part of the donut and you're just gonna push down and give it a little twist. So you're probably thinking, what am I gonna do now, right? Because now they have to go through a final proofing stage. Personally, I like to use a sheet pan with some parchment paper. Just put a little bit of flour. We don't want anything to stick. Now this you're gonna wanna cover, because if not, it's gonna develop a skin. You know, by just being exposed to the air, it's gonna get a crust, and then you're gonna fry it, and it's gonna be a little hard, and you don't wanna do that. The best thing I recommend to use is a kitchen towel. If you don't have that, you can use some paper towels. If you don't have that, you can use an additional piece of parchment paper. Just whatever you do, you don't want it exposed to the air. We're gonna let them sit like this for about a half hour, 30 to 45 minutes. If you're in a colder area, you're gonna wanna let it sit for 1 to 2 hours until it's doubled in size, and you'll know. All right, so we're about to get ready to fry the donuts. I personally like to use vegetable shortening. You get it at any of your local grocery store. It tends to not absorb into the donut, so you're not gonna get that greasy donut taste in your mouth. And yet it preserves the life of the donut, so your donuts can last a few days. Even if you have an electric burner like this or a gas-powered one, you're gonna wanna fry your donuts between 375 to 400 degrees. I'm gonna be using a thermometer. If you don't have one, it's okay. You could take a little piece of dough, just stick it in the oil, see how it reacts. If it turns a golden brown, you know you're in the right spot. All right, so we're gonna check the temperature of our grease. Hopefully it's between 375 and 400. You never really wanna fry donuts below 350, because what'll happen is the donut will absorb all the grease, and then you'll just get an oily, greasy, saturated donut. Not good. The higher the temperature, the more it flash fries it, creating almost like a crust on the outside, keeping all the steam and moisture on the inside, giving you a tender, good donut. So let's check the temperature, and if it's ready, we'll start frying donuts. Right at about 395 to 400. As soon as we put donuts in, it's gonna bring that temperature down, so I'm gonna keep it there. When frying donuts, you wanna maybe just do 2 to 3 at first till you get the hang of it. You're dealing with hot grease. Make sure there's no kids around. Be careful when you put it in so it doesn't splash. It will burn you. All right, here we go. Nice and slow. And when you fry the donuts, you only want to do 30 to 40 seconds on each side. You just want to get a nice golden brown. You want to see a nice proof line around, because that means that the donut is sitting on top of the oil, because it's got a lot of CO2 in it from the proof. It's not going down in the oil. As you see here, this color is beautiful, light brown, nice and fluffy. We're going to go ahead and flip them. Again, be careful, this oil will get you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and fry the donuts without the holes in them. Now what happens when you fry those up, they tend to bubble up and they wanna start flipping, so just keep an eye for that. You'll see what I'm talking about. The ones without the holes in it that we're gonna fill, you wanna fry them a little bit longer because there's more dough and it's deeper in the middle. So sometimes you end up getting raw dough in the middle, and nobody wants raw dough. I mean, it's gross, right? That's what we need every time. Here we just want to use like a wooden spoon to get them up and then strain it. The last thing you want is excess oil on your donuts. Again, 20 to 30 seconds each side. If you're unsure, go the extra 40, 45 seconds. Even have a timer with you. Hit the button as soon as you put them in. When it beeps, flip them, reset the timer, 30 to 45 seconds, all you need. These I went just a little bit lighter, just so you could see the difference. I personally like a darker donut. It means all the sugars have caramelized. Is it caramel or caramel? All right, so here we have these donut holes. You don't want to just splash them. It can be really dangerous. Again, be careful if your dog is walking around or you have kids anywhere. Be very cautious with putting these in. And we'll just let these sit right on top there. Immediately take your wood spoon, take one of your strainers, whatever it is, and just keep these moving ever so lightly so that they evenly cook all the way around. Otherwise you get one raw part and then the other part is overcooked. All right, so now we're gonna glaze our donuts. We've made our classic glaze. We have these two that are still hot. We're just gonna mix it up, make sure it didn't really develop a crust or anything. We're gonna take the donut, I'm gonna press it down, and ever so gently, I'm just gonna pull it right out. So now we're gonna make some raspberry peanut butter and jelly donuts. I have my piping bags here. I'm gonna pick up the donut. You can either put this through the side or through the top. I like putting it through the top. I don't know why, it's different. So we're gonna puncture it ever so lightly. You don't wanna go to the bottom, and just slightly squeeze. All right, now we're gonna get into our cinnamon sugar. Super simple. Personally, my favorite donut. If you ever wanna experience a donut and know how good a donut shop is, try their glaze, try their cinnamon sugar. I do about 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, 1/2 tablespoon of cinnamon. Just dump it right in. Take a fork, just mix it up. Easiest thing you can do. Take the donut, roll it around, do the edges, voila. So there you have it, gourmet handcrafted donuts in your house. Anybody could do it. I did it on a very small space here. Hopefully you could do it as well. If you have any questions, just comment below or message me. I'll be more than happy to help you with it. Hope you enjoy. Here, try one of these.